Not all of Tamriel's wonders are carved in stone or forged in fire. Some grow quietly, nestled between stream and shadow, in lands where magic seeps from the soil and the air smells faintly of brimstone. The Jazbay Grape is one such wonder. A small plum-colored fruit with the taste of ash and arcana. It grows in only one known region of Skyrim, the volcanic tundra of Eastmarch. To modern eyes, Jazbay grapes may seem little more than an oddity of alchemy or a footnote in tavern wine, but its past tells a different story. This fruit was once so precious, so politically charged, that gathering it without permission from the emperor himself was grounds for execution. Its vines were guarded, its wine rationed by decree of the Elder Council, and its effects, both magical and ecological, were the subject of study among the Empire's most trusted alchemists. Welcome to Foraging Fauna and Flora, where we wade through the wilderness of Tamriel, unearthing deep-rooted secrets and uncovering mysteries from the majestic mountaintops to the mystical meadows. In today's episode, we will trace the ecological peculiarity of Jazbay's habitat, explore its entangled history of Imperial regulation, investigate its hidden role in the cultivation of Nirnroot, and even taste its transformation from forbidden ingredient to humble tavern wine. It is important to understand how Eastmarch's geography came to be, because the land itself explains why this region supports such unusual life. Eastmarch sits at the intersection of volcanic and glacial forces. To the east, beyond the Velothi Mountains, lies Morrowind and Red Mountain, the massive stratovolcano that dominates Vvardenfell. A stratovolcano is a tall, cone-shaped mountain built from layers of ash and lava, and Red Mountain's eruptions have showered the surrounding regions with volcanic fallout for centuries. Some of that ash drifts across the passes into Skyrim, enriching Eastmarch's soils with new layers of fragmented rock and minerals. Meanwhile, the Gerald Mountains to the south and the Velothi Range to the east have been shaped over millennia by glaciers. Glacial massifs, high ridges carved by the grinding weight of glaciers over thousands of years, dominate the peaks. As these glaciers advanced and retreated, they scoured the landscape and left behind moraines, which are long ridges of rock and settlement piled at their melting edges. And cirques, bowl-shaped hollows gouged from the mountain flanks. Together, these glacial processes scraped and deepened the depression at the center of Eastmarch, accentuating a basin already weakened by earlier volcanic collapse. This is why Eastmarch feels like a bowl. The land subsided when ancient magma chambers emptied, creating a caldera-like depression, and glaciers later carved it even deeper, piling moraines and loose talus along the surrounding ridges. Today, that basin floor still radiates geothermal heat, venting steam through hot springs and fumaroles while cold air and glacial runoff pour down from the mountains above. Where this superheated groundwater forces its way to the surface, it forms mud pots, geothermal features where steam, boiling water, and fine sediment churn together into bubbling pools. In other places, the water seeps out more gradually and cools as it reaches the open air, leaving behind hardened layers of minerals such as sulfur, silica, and iron oxides. Over time, these chemical residues encrust the ground in pale yellow and rusty red crusts, painting the surface with visible signs of constant transformation and reminding us that Eastmarch is a land still caught between fire and ice. The soils of Eastmarch are also heavily enriched with volcanic ash, the fragmented rock and glass particles ejected during eruptions. Mixed into this ash are sulfur compounds that have undergone oxidation, a process where gases react with oxygen and moisture to create acidic sulfates. This acidity makes the soil inhospitable to most forms of vegetation. And it is within this volatile but fertile niche that Jazbay grapes have found their home. Few plants can endure the acidity of volcanic ash soils or survive in ground stained with sulfur and iron oxides. Yet Jazbay not only tolerates these conditions, but thrives in them. The vines sprawl low across fractured basalt, hugging the warm ground and blending with tundra grasses and stone. They cluster thickly around steam vents and fumarolic fissures, where vapor and trace gases create localized pockets of heat and acidity. Their shallow roots absorb warmth and solutes directly from the ground, acting almost like natural thermal probes. Jazbay grapes grow most abundantly in these hotspots, where the steady release of geothermal energy keeps the soil thawed and frost-free even in the depths of Skyrim's winters. Attempts to grow the grape elsewhere in Skyrim have all but failed, and historical texts from the Third Era speak of entire harvests lost when transplanted even a few miles from their volcanic source. Could a fruit so uniquely adapted to heat, ash, and mineral-rich soil have truly evolved in Skyrim's harsh climate? Or is it more likely a transplant from another volcanic land entirely? If Jazbay grapes grow only in one small corner of the province and thrives under conditions that mirror those found beyond the Velothi Mountains, might its roots reach back to Morrowind instead? No definitive lore places Jazbay grapes' origins in Morrowind, yet the plant's needs strongly resemble conditions around Red Mountain. Eastmarch's ash-laden geothermal soil is geologically akin to Vvardenfell's volcanic slopes, suggesting a possible shared origin. It is possible that Jazbay grape seeds could have migrated from Vvardenfell, carried on ash-laden winds or via birds, taking root in Eastmarch's caldera where the climate mirrored their homeland. With that being said, could the same volcanic ash that transformed Nirnroot also be the ancestral soil of Jazbay grapes? Scholars point to the Nirnroot missive, attributed to the famed alchemist Sinderion, which proposes that ashfall from Red Mountain's eruption was rich in potent ash salt, a magical residue that triggered dramatic morphological changes in local flora. As the text explains, this ash became a catalyst of sorts, forcing a change in the very makeup of Nirnroot, altering even its glow from yellowish to the familiar blue-white glow of later generations. If such ash can transform one botanical species, perhaps it could similarly imbue Jazbay grapes with their signature acidity and arcane potency. Meanwhile, Agneta Follia's Herbalist's Guide to Skyrim offers a more mundane insight. Growers in Skyrim were successful in improving the fruit's survivability, but it came at the cost of flavor. No longer is it quite the prize it once was. This admission suggests Jazbay's original form might have favored warmer, more consistent volcanic conditions, which are conditions not present in Skyrim's harsh winter seasons. Breeding efforts increased hardiness but diluted the plant's natural essence, implying its ancestral form was more heat-dependent. Between Red Mountain's ash-laden slopes and Eastmarch's volatile basin, the soil profiles align strikingly. Both are rich in mineral deposits, alkaline ash, and residual geothermal energy, fostering environments in which Jazbay grapes can grow comfortably while withering elsewhere. Though no in-game text explicitly confirms Jazbay ever grew in Morrowind, the ecological parallels are hard to ignore. In examining the possible origin and resilience of Jazbay grapes, one real-world analog offers a particularly compelling comparison. Vitis riparia, also known as the riverbank grape or frost grape. Native to North America, Vitis riparia is one of the hardiest of all grape species, capable of surviving winter temperatures as low as -40 degrees Celsius. Unlike traditional wine grapes, it does not climb in elegant rows or seek out warmth. Instead, it thrives in deep woodland, floodplains, and disturbed soil, often growing low to the ground where it can absorb the Earth's residual heat. In colder climates, this tendency to sprawl near the surface is not a weakness but a survival strategy, protecting its buds from frost and harsh winds. Like Jazbay, Vitis riparia favors acidic soils rich in organic material and tolerates a broad spectrum of substrates, from sand to gravel to clay. Though it struggles in calcareous, lime-heavy soil, its adaptability to varying chemistries makes it highly valued as a rootstock in modern viticulture. Its fruit, small, dark-colored, and covered with a pale bloom, is known for its sharp acidity and herbaceous flavor, often described as sour or wild, with little of the sweetness found in cultivated grape varieties. Though rarely used in fine wine on its own, its juice is considered rich in antioxidants and useful in blending or preserving. These characteristics mirror those of Jazbay grapes in both form and function. Just as Vitis riparia clings to cold soils and offers high acidity in exchange for survivability, Jazbay grows low to the ground in Eastmarch's volcanic basin, drawing heat and minerals from steam vents and sulfurous fissures. Both plants are native to marginal environments, growing where others cannot, yet producing fruit with powerful, if unconventional, properties. Jazbay's juice is acidic enough to alter the soil for Nirnroot cultivation, just as riparia thrives in and contributes to the health of acidic soils and flood-prone biomes, keeping the ground from eroding away over years of constant rushing water. The parallels suggest that if Jazbay did originate in Morrowind's ashlands, its evolutionary arc would have been similar to that of Vitis riparia, a fruit born not of abundance but of adversity, valued not for its sweetness but for its resilience, strength, and what it enables others to grow. Just as riparia became the genetic foundation for many hardy grape cultivars, Jazbay too was selectively bred in Skyrim to endure the province's harsher winters. Throughout Tamrielic history, few fruits have inspired such a strange fusion of reverence, regulation, and satire as the Jazbay grape. Known today as an ingredient in potions and Alto wine, Jazbay was once among the most heavily restricted botanical resources in the Empire. During the height of the Septim dynasty in the Third Era, Jazbay grapes were considered so valuable that they were classified not simply as a rare delicacy, but as a matter of state interest. Imperial edicts forbade their unauthorized harvesting. According to Agnetafolia, it was once considered treason to pick one of these grapes without express permission from the emperor himself. The grape's extreme rarity and dependency on a limited habitat made their supply both precarious and politically sensitive. The Empire's approach to Jazbay regulation was formed with two priorities in mind: conservation and control. On one hand, the plant's limited growing range made it vulnerable to overharvesting, prompting the Elder Council to ration its use. On the other hand, its elite status as a wine grape, cultivated in secretive vineyards within the volcanic basin known as the Alto, elevated it into a symbol of imperial restraint and privilege. This is exemplified in the satirical lore book Warrior, the third volume in the Adventurers of Elsaf Errol, where the titular trickster protagonist recounts that even the emperor himself required formal approval from the council to drink a single glass of Jazbay wine each year. Though embellished for humor, the passage carries an element of truth. The Empire had so rigidly bound Jazbay's use in ritual and law that even the idea of partaking was framed as a privilege rather than an inherent right. The vineyards that produced Jazbay were privately owned and fiercely protected, and the grape's cultivation was so localized that it could not survive outside the volcanic microclimate of the Alto. This fictional depiction mirrors Folia's more clinical observations, which note that later generations of Skyrim horticulturalists succeeded in breeding a hardier version of the grape, capable of surviving colder temperatures but lacking the intense flavor of the original stock, implying that the once mythical properties of the fruit had faded in tandem with its exclusivity. Over time, As Jazbay became easier to grow and less valued for its taste, the draconian laws surrounding it were repealed. By the Fourth Era, Jazbay had been decriminalized, once a treasonous indulgence. It was now a legal, if still rare, ingredient found in certain vineyards and inns. And yet, Folia's commentary suggests a lingering cultural caution. While no longer against the law, picking these grapes in large amounts is best kept to oneself. Together, Warrior and the Herbalist's Guide to Skyrim form a complementary narrative, one satirical, one scientific, to reveal how Jazbay evolved from sacred commodity to common crop. In Warrior, the fruit becomes the lens for examining absurdity in social hierarchies. The idea that a grape could be so rare it required bureaucratic approval to taste is both comical and cutting. Revan, the irreverent writer, exists outside these systems of control, offering the reader a perspective on the artificiality of class distinction and access. In contrast, Folia's Guide grounds this legend in historical change, tracing the slow shift from reverence to horticultural practicality. Jazbay's prestige was not inherent to the plant itself, but constructed through scarcity, ritual, and policy. By hoarding it, regulating it, and transforming it into a privilege reserved for the emperor and his court, the empire elevated a regional grape into a kind of political relic. Even as modern growers diluted its flavor and expanded its range, echoes of this legacy persist. The very fact that Skyrim's Alto wine is still made from Jazbay grapes grown in the Alto speaks to its continuity of memory, even as circumstances surrounding its cultivation have changed. With the decline of Imperial exclusivity and the adaptation of hardier vines in Skyrim, Jazbay grapes began to serve a new function, one rooted in alchemical practice rather than culinary tradition. While still difficult to cultivate, their availability in the wild prompted a surge of interest among potion makers. No longer confined to royal goblets, the grape found renewed purpose in the mortar and pestle. What was once hoarded for taste is now prized for power. Jazbay grapes are valued by mages and alchemists alike due to their powerful magicka-related effects. When used in potion crafting, they provide 4 key alchemical properties. Weakness to magic, which affects a target's resistance, making them more vulnerable to magical attacks. Fortify magicka, which increases maximum magicka, crucial for spellcasters. Regenerate magicka, which speeds up magicka regeneration, useful in long battles. And ravage health, which drains health over time, making it a valuable poison component. These effects make Jazbay grapes an essential ingredient for any mage, particularly those seeking to maximize their magicka and efficiency in battle. Jazbay grapes can be combined with 45 other ingredients, offering various potion and poison effects beneficial to adventurers and alchemists alike. To fortify magicka and regenerate magicka, combine Jazbay grapes with liquor or salmon roe. For single effect potions and poisons, Jazbay grapes offer the following combinations. To cause weakness to magic, combine Jazbay grapes with creep cluster, droog wax, crush fiber, marshmallow, rock warbler egg, rue brush, scaly foliota, or torchbug thorax. To fortify magicka, combine Jazbay grapes with blind watcher's eye, blister pod cap, briar heart, ectoplasm, emperor parasol moss, hist carp, hunger tongue, red kelp gas bladder, red mountain flower, salt rice, stoneflower petals, tundra cotton, void salts, or Watcher's Eye. To regenerate magicka, combine Jazbay grapes with fire salts, garlic, minotaur horn, moon sugar, purple butterfly wing, screaming maw, scrib jelly, or thorn hook. To ravage health, combine Jazbay grapes with chokeberry, congealed putrescence, cyrrodilic spadetail, daedra venin, eye of sabercat, giant lichen, gold canet, scathecrawl, silverside perch, or skeever tail. According to the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages, 66 guaranteed samples of Jazbay grapes can be found in 36 different locations. Locations with the greatest numbers of samples are 7 samples in Vlindrel Hall, 4 samples in Broken Tower Redoubt, 4 samples in Burgook's Longhouse, 4 samples in Felglow Keep, 4 samples in Largashbur Longhouse, and 4 samples in Noraine's house. Jazbay grapes are classified as a rare ingredient, meaning that most apothecary merchants have a 21% chance of carrying 1 to 4 samples. Additionally, they may be randomly found in rare type apothecary satchels throughout Skyrim. A total of 364 Jazbay plants are spread across 22 different locations in Skyrim. Locations with the highest concentrations include 49 around Stream Crag Camp, 47 around Witch Mist Grove, 35 around Elder Gleam Sanctuary, 33 around the Atronax Stone, 31 around Bone Strewn Crest, 26 around Kynes Grove, 25 around Mistwatch, 24 around Broken Limb Camp, 23 around Cromvangir Cave, and 22 around Riverside Shack. With their powerful magicka boosting properties and rarity, Jazbay grapes are a prized ingredient for mages and alchemists, making them a highly sought-after resource in Skyrim's alchemical landscape. However, harvesting them is difficult due to their locations and the dangers nearby. The area is home to hostile creatures that make harvesting risky. Giants and their mammoths turn violent if disturbed. Frost trolls lurk in the caves and mountain slopes. Even the lowlands carry risk, with wolves, ice wolves, and bears ready to attack on sight. For most, the routine collection of Jazbay is less a chore than a perilous undertaking. Despite the dangers, some alchemists are determined to study and grow Jazbay grapes more sustainably. One such effort is found through the quest Smooth Jazbay, where players meet an alchemist trying to do just that. The quest Smooth Jazbay takes place at Sarethi Farm, in the rift northwest of Riften. Here, players are asked to gather 20 Jazbay grapes for Avrusa Sarethi, an alchemist struggling to maintain her crops while raising her younger sister, Aduri. What seems like a simple fetch quest quickly reveals itself as a deeper look into the difficulties of cultivating rare ingredients, the scarcity of Jazbay in the wild, and its crucial link to Nirnroot farming. Nirnroot is notoriously finicky, normally found only near water and very hard to cultivate. Yet, Avrusa succeeds by enriching her soil with Jazbay grapes, which enhance the acidic content of the soil and create a viable environment for Nirnroot. Chemically, the grape's juice is described as ideal for growing Nirnroot. Its high acidity likely mimics the marshy, nitrogen-poor soils Nirnroot favors, and may carry trace elements from volcanic ash that Nirnroot can metabolize. By crushing the grapes into the earth, Avrusa is essentially imbuing the soil with a bit of volcanic essence and a strong acid that breaks down other nutrients. The result is that Nirnroot, which normally withers in foreign soil, can flourish in a Jazbay amended plot. From an ecological perspective, this suggests that Jazbay might play a supporting role in its native biome. Perhaps in the wild it naturally acidifies patches of ground, influencing what other plants can grow nearby. Few other plants in Tamriel have such a direct, documented influence on soil chemistry for the benefit of other species. We might compare it loosely to the symbiosis observed in Blackreach, where the rare crimson Nirnroot grows alongside giant fungi that maintain humidity. Avrusa Sarethi likely learned her grape-based soil enrichment techniques from Sinderion, who lived at Sarethi Farm for decades as her mentor and friend. He taught her everything known about Nirnroot's unique properties and how to grow it successfully. Avrusa is the only person alive who can cultivate Nirnroot. To fully grasp Avrusa's methods, it's important to understand the legacy of her mentor Sinderion. A master alchemist, Sinderion spent decades studying Nirnroot, eventually discovering the rare crimson variant deep within Blackreach. His field journals, now in Avrusa's care, detail his experiments, observations, and the conditions needed for cultivation. In my video on Crimson Nirnroot, I explore Sinderion's life, his groundbreaking research, and the journey that led him from Skingrad to his final days in Skyrim. His work forms the foundation of everything Avrusa now does at Sarethi Farm, preserving a dying branch of alchemical knowledge. If you are interested in learning more, I highly suggest watching the video. The more I make these, the more I realize how crucial his research is to the field of alchemy. Circling back, upon successfully collecting 20 Jazbay grapes, the player returns to Avrusa, who expresses gratitude for the effort involved in gathering such a rare ingredient. She acknowledges that she was initially worried she had asked for too many, reinforcing how valuable and difficult it is to obtain Jazbay grapes. As a reward, she provides the player with 5 leveled potions. This quest offers a unique experience for players interested in alchemy and plant cultivation, as it not only teaches about the challenges of growing rare plants, but also rewards those who take the time to engage with Skyrim's herbalist and agricultural mechanics. It also serves as an ongoing benefit to the player, as returning to Sarethi Farm periodically allows for the harvesting of Nirnroot and Crimson Nirnroot, which are otherwise difficult to obtain in large quantities. If you find yourself with some extra Jazbay grapes and no knowledge of alchemy, you might wonder what else you can do with them. In the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, food plays an essential role in daily survival, providing buffs and nourishment for adventurers braving the harsh environment. While alchemy focuses on the magical and medicinal properties of ingredients, cooking and baking represent a more culinary approach to ingredient usage. One food in Skyrim that incorporates Jazbay grapes is the Jazbay crostata, a baked dish that offers both health restoration and magicka fortification. This suggests that Jazbay grapes, when prepared properly, retain their magicka-enhancing properties, much like certain alchemical ingredients that persist in effect when consumed in potion form. The crostata is made using Jazbay grapes, butter, flour, and honey. Though Jazbay wine is not an available beverage in Skyrim, lore suggests that Jazbay grapes were once widely used in winemaking, particularly by the Imperial elite. While Skyrim primarily features mead as its dominant drink, the wide presence of Alto wine in-game suggests that grape-based wines are still produced within the province. In the Elder Scrolls Online, also known as ESO, Jazbay grapes take on a unique role distinct from their use in alchemy in Skyrim. Rather than being a crucial reagent for magicka-enhancing potions, they serve as a provisioning ingredient used in a variety of food and drink recipes. Their culinary application reflects their long-standing association with magical properties, as nearly all dishes and beverages made using Jazbay grapes increase maximum magicka, a fitting trait given their history as a prized alchemical ingredient. Unlike in Skyrim, where Jazbay grapes grow in Eastmarch's volcanic tundra, in ESO, they are more commonly found in containers, tables, and grape baskets throughout Tamriel. In the Gold Coast, they are located especially in grape baskets, a clear indication that their cultivation has spread across the continent. However, while grapes in baskets are always Jazbay grapes, other grapes found in ESO, such as Sarethi grapes, exist separately and are not interchangeable. Players seeking a reliable supply can purchase Jazbay grapes from grocers for 150 gold, making them one of the more accessible rare ingredients in provisioning. As a fruit-type ingredient, Jazbay grapes serve as a base for various magicka-boosting dishes in the Elder Scrolls Online's cooking system. These dishes range from simple fruit preserves to complex gourmet meals, many of which provide long-lasting buffs beneficial to mages. Additionally, Jazbay grapes appear in savory dishes, intraments, delicacies, and even alcoholic beverages, showing their versatility beyond traditional sweet preparations. Beyond consumable recipes, Jazbay grapes also appear as a furnishing ingredient in the Elder Scrolls Online's housing system. Players can use them to craft grapes, wax, a decorative furnishing item that replicates a realistic bunch of wax-sealed grapes, likely for use in noble kitchens or feasting halls. The Elder Scrolls Online shows that Jazbay grapes have long held a place of prestige beyond alchemy, appearing in magicka-enhancing dishes, ritual foods, and noble feasts. Their presence in ESO, set nearly a millennium before Skyrim, implies that their rarity in the Fourth Era is a decline from an earlier abundance, and that their mystical properties were recognized by ancient cultures and perhaps even institutionalized within magical orders. It remains possible that future Elder Scrolls titles will shed further light on the culinary and magical legacy of Jazbay grapes, whether through the recovery of forgotten vintages, the reconstruction of lost recipes, or the revelation of arcane properties long obscured by history. Jazbay grapes are a persisting reminder of Tamriel's deep-rooted history, spanning the wide sulfuric pools and climbing the crags of Eastmarch. Their scarcity, arcane resonance, and cultural weight render them among the most fascinating flora in both Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls Online. From their potential origins in Vvardenfell, their restricted harvesting by Imperial decree, and their continued importance in alchemical and culinary practices, Jazbay grapes have woven their way into Tamrielic culture and history. As we say farewell, remember that Tamriel's fauna and flora are as numerous as the stars in its night sky, and we've only just begun to explore them. Until we meet again in the midst of myth and mystery, may your path be paved with the pursuit of the peculiar and the profound. If you've enjoyed this journey through Tamriel's heartland, please leave a like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to stay updated with our latest Elder Scrolls explorations. Your support helps us bring more of the series' hidden gems to light. Join us next time on Foraging Fauna and Flora for another adventure into the wilds of Tamriel. Until then, may your travels be safe, and your groundbreaking discoveries many. Farewell, fellow adventurers.